I'm your host, Angel Birch. This is how things work. Each week we present a topic for discussion. It might be a specific question or a product we're reviewing. And occasionally we might even throw a poll up on our website. You can participate by leaving your questions and comments for our guests on Facebook at Things in My Head blog or at Twitter using hashtag Things in My Head. So, without further delay, let's get this week's discussion going. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. If you were following on Facebook this past week, you know at the beginning of the week we were a little bit miffed about what topic we were going to discuss. We had a couple of people message privately, and two people suggested the same topic. We decided to do that topic. We're going to be back with that particular topic. It's in the current events. Everybody's thinking about it. Everybody's talking about it. Nobody wants to deal with it. Right after this. Guess what I just did? I just saved 80% on my grocery bill. Yep. Walked right into the store with my coupons and saved 80% at the checkout. Want to know how I did it? I went to couponcoachlisa.com and became a member for just $5. Coupon Coach Lisa has easy-to-follow tutorial videos that showed me step-by-step how to get the most savings for my grocery dollar. Oh, and this is not just a one-time thing either. CouponCoachLisa.com has taught me how to do this every time I go shopping. I've saved so much money by joining CouponCoachLisa.com. Now I can even go on a date with my husband. Get connected, stay connected with CouponCoachLisa.com. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Things in My Head. I want to talk about today what's happening with the government and the shutdown, Obamacare, the whole kit and caboodle here. We're only have a 10-minute show, so we're really going to condense this. Now, I'm not a political analyst. I'm not a political expert. In fact, I don't even like politics, to be honest with you, and I usually don't do a show based on politics at all. But this is a situation that I may have seen before, and so it might give me a little bit of insight into what's actually happening with our country right now, not only with the government shutdown, but with Obamacare. Now, what makes me think that maybe I have a little bit of insight? Well, the fact of the matter is, some of you know this, I was raised in Canada for a lot of my life, and Canada is a socialist government. About 25 years ago, they had a similar situation with their government where the government was running out of money. They shut the government down. I want to talk about what they did in comparison to what's happening to us now. Maybe it will happen the same way, maybe not. If the current government has any say about it, we will have a socialist democratic government, which could spell trouble in the future. I mean, now it looks like a great thing to a lot of people. Right now, it looks like something that maybe might work, giving to the poor, allowing everybody to be on an equal playing field, having benefits for everybody, all of that. But let me tell you a little story. Okay, so 25 years ago, living in Canada, the government ran out of money and they did a shutdown. They did not do a partial shutdown like they did here. They actually shut down for 2 full days, the complete kit and caboodle. I'm sure that the legislature was still in session because government officials had to kind of figure out what they were going to do. Their solution was to privatize the government. Now, understand that the Canadian government at that time owned the banks, they owned the liquor stores, they owned the DMV, they pretty much ran everything. It created havoc. The idea was for the government to pull in this revenue and get the money and help to pull them out of this funk. Okay. Did it work? Well, we're 25 years later here, and from what I understand, liquor stores are still pretty much privatized. Bank interest, this is something that was interesting. The Canadian banks were run and operated by the federal government at the time, or the province could run and operate their own bank, but they still had to follow the federal government guidelines. When they privatized, a lot of foreign interests came into Canada. You have the Bank of Canada became the Hong Kong Bank of Canada. Now it's Hong Kong Bank. That could be where the TD Ameritrade merger happened as well, because TD is actually Toronto Dominion Bank, which is a Canadian bank. Okay, and right about that time is when they also did the free trade deal between America, Mexico, and Canada. And the whole thing was designed to bring new money into Canada to strengthen the Canadian economy and to get the government back up and running, because at that time, Canada's credit rating at that time was an A-. After the privatization, after all of this happened, it went down to a C, which made Canada, in the eyes of the creditors, a third world country. A lot of government employees lost their jobs because of this. A lot of people got rich, actually, when they opened up their own private segment of whatever they bought from the government, the DMV or the liquor store, or whatever it was. They made a lot of money in a very short period of time. Eventually, what happened in the last 25 years is that some of those services were sold back to the government because apparently the government had gotten itself in order and they said, okay, look, if you're not doing well in this business, we're willing to buy this back from you. But just know that that system was not a final solution, all right? To quote Margaret Thatcher, who ran one of the most successful socialist governments in the world for the longest period of time, in a socialist government, eventually the money runs out. Eventually, you can't pay the bill, okay? And unfortunately, that's what happens. It seems like a good idea. It seems like a really great plan. Everybody's on an even playing field. But the fact of the matter is that when the government starts taking over everything and the government starts owning everything, the government starts running everything, and the government starts doling out the money for everybody, honestly, in my opinion, again, this is my show. I'm not a political analyst, so the thoughts and opinions discussed here are my own. In my opinion, you're really not as free as you think you are when the government runs things, because now you're getting taxed to pay for all of these things. Well, the one thing that Americans really scream about is more taxes. They don't want more taxes. But the fact is that in a socialist government, you do pay more taxes because you have to fund all of these government programs to take care of everybody. When the government runs everything, they have to get the money from somewhere. They're going to get it from you, okay? Bottom line, that's just the way it is. Okay, so now let's move on to Obamacare. And the reason why this shutdown is happening is not solely because of Obamacare. People are getting the two wrapped up with each other because that's what the media has been spouting off, is that the Republicans are not backing down on Obamacare. Obama's not backing down on Obamacare. That's not the only issue before Congress right now. Another issue before Congress is the debt ceiling. There are people in our Congress who do not want to raise that debt ceiling to get us into more debt to pay for any more of these government. You know, I'm not going to tell you whether I'm Democrat or I'm Republic or I'm Tea Party or I'm independent or whatever. Let's just say that the government running everything is not necessarily a good thing, only because I've been there, done that. But on the other hand, neither is leaving the government out of everything. Okay, we have to have a government, but we have to have balance there. Anyways, okay, so let's get into the Obamacare. If you read the blog at www.thingsinmyheadblog.com, you're going to see that I gave you pretty much a breakdown of what Obamacare entails. In a very, well, it's a long post for a blog. It pretty much breaks down the fact that you're going to have to get Obamacare or some kind of private insurance. You're going to have to be insured. That's the law. That's the way they set it up. You can't get out of it, period. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this. First of all, there are places that you can go on the internet that will break it down and explain it very simply to you, okay? And one of the best ones that I found, and you're going to laugh at this, was cvs.com/insurance. Now, that's CVS, the drugstore, CVS. They have a portion of their website that's dedicated to explaining what the new health care is all about and how it will affect you. CVS has a couple of tools that are really, really beneficial that even the Affordable Health Care site is not giving us. And one of them is a calculator that will calculate how much you will end up paying according to your income, whether you smoke or not, you know, where you live, that sort of thing. It will basically give you an idea of how much either the bronze or the silver plan is going to be. Now, everybody is under the assumption that this is going to be free. No, it was never meant to be free. In fact, I can tell you that the Affordable Health Care Act really states, in an effort to reduce the amount of money paid by individuals for health care and benefits. Okay, now the way that it words it is really kind of strange because it actually, the way that it words it, it sounds like they're reducing benefits too. And in a lot of cases, it looks like they are, because if you had 80-20 coverage with your private insurance company at one time, an 80-20 insurance plan, they're not offering that. That's going away. Okay. You enjoyed that for a little while. It's not going to happen anymore. Sorry, guys. The silver plan is a 70-30 plan. That means they're only going to pay 70% of procedures and you're going to pay the other 30% on top of your premiums. Okay, the bronze plan, which is the minimum required government amount of health care, is going to be a 60-40 split. Okay, so you're going to pay your premium, you're going to pay 40% of whatever you get done. So if you have a heart attack, you go to the hospital, get prepared to pay 40% out of pocket. So just for kicks, I went to the cvs.com/insurance site and I played with their little calculator and I put in that we live in Texas. I put in that we make $50,000 a year. It's a nice round number. It's an average income for a lot of people in my state. We have no insurance with our employer and neither one of us smoke, and there's 2 people in my household. Under the bronze plan, okay, it says that I would be assessed with the tax credit that the government is saying you may get get, now they're not guaranteeing this tax credit, remember that, $2,356 a year. Break that down into 12 months, and it's $196.33 a month. Now, if you're thinking that, okay, well, that's not too bad, remember, you're still paying 40% of the coverage out of your pocket. Okay, this is only a 60-40 plan. It is the absolute positively minimum that you are going to be required to have under the government law. So almost $200 a month for two people. That's $100 a month each. And you're only going to get minimal coverage. Now, if you choose the silver plan, that's the 70-30 plan. So you pay 30% out of pocket. That one jumps by $1,000. After the tax credit, let me tell you, before the tax credit, the silver plan, $8,122 a year before the tax credit. All right. Now, because $50,000 apparently is 322% of the poverty level, I am eligible for a tax credit maybe of $3,372. Okay, so we subtract that from the original $8,122 per year, and you're still left with $4,750 a year. That's the premium that I would have to pay yearly to get health care coverage for me and my husband, okay? Now, here's the thing. You break that down into 12 monthly payments, that's $395 a month. Now, don't you think that if we went to a private insurance company, we could get insurance for about $400 a month to cover the two of us? And it would probably be an 80-20 split. Of course, now I don't know because everybody's saying that insurance companies have raised their rates so high you can't even afford it. And here's the other thing. Let's say you don't make that kind of money. Let's say you don't even make $50,000 a year. You just got a school and you don't qualify to be under your parents' plan anymore. Maybe you're 26 years old, you're undergraduate. You do have a job and you're only getting paid maybe $10, $12 an hour or whatever. Guess what? The Affordable Health Care Act admit that you are probably going to fall through the cracks. Yep, they admit it right on their website, and I've got the link at www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. I'm going to read it for you just so that you can hear it. And they're kind of blaming the states for this because the states had a choice to expand their Medicaid program as of January 1st, 2014. Some of them did not. Texas was one of the ones that did not. I know North Carolina, I believe, was one of the ones that did not. So if you're in a state that does not have the expanded Medicaid, you might be in a pickle. On healthcare.gov, which is the Affordable Health Care Act website that gives all the information about what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, and why it's happening and all of that. All of the information you need, supposedly. It says many adults, I'm quoting, many adults in those states with incomes below 100% of the federal poverty level fall into a gap. Their incomes are too high to get medical under their state's current rules, but their incomes are too low to qualify for help buying coverage in the marketplace, which is what they're calling Obamacare's insurance pool. They admit that you're going to fall through the gap. Then they go on to apply for Medicaid. Okay? So they've already said, okay, some of you are not going to be able to qualify for Medicaid, but we're not going to tell you what you do in between time. We're sorry. You may have to get your own private insurance because guess what, people? It's a law. You've got to have medical insurance of some kind or you're going to pay a penalty. I went into all of that on the website, www.thingsinmyheadblog.com. I broke down how the penalties are going to be assessed, when they're going to be assessed. And you know what? If you do not enroll by December 15, 2013, that's the week before Christmas this year, you won't have coverage as of January 1st, 2014. Chances are you're going to have to wait till next January to even see the coverage that you enroll for after December 15th. So from December 15th to March 31st, you'll probably have to wait a year to see the coverage, but you're going to have to pay for it. Okay, we're all in the same boat here. And you know what I can't stand? I can't stand it when on Facebook, on Twitter, even on the blogs, people are drawing sides about this thing. You know what? We're all in the same boat. Whether or not you agree with it, whether or not you think that it's the right thing to do, whether or not you want Obamacare or you don't want Obamacare. The fact of the matter is, it's a law. And unless the law gets repealed, we're all in the same boat. We can't say we're not going to pay this because eventually the fees are going to be compounded in such a way that you're going to owe the government more than you can pay. So you are going to have to make a decision one way or another at some time. Now, does that mean that you have to make a decision right here and right now? No. You know, maybe you can consider paying the penalty for 1 year and seeing how the fallout happens, you know. So here's the thing. We got a government shutdown. The money's got to come from somewhere. Our debt in this country is way, way too high. We can't afford to pay it. And Obama is going to allow us to default. And let me tell you something. European countries, it's all over the news. European countries are saying, why are you doing this to yourselves? Why are you allowing a default on your loans? You're going to set yourselves up for failure no matter what you do, because the fact of the matter is that if this doesn't get resolved soon, if this doesn't get fixed in any way or even a Band-Aid put on it, because our government is really good at putting Band-Aids on things, both sides. Democrats and Republicans are really good at putting Band-Aids on things. We're really setting ourselves up for a big failure in the end. There are going to be repercussions of this shutdown, even if the government starts up again. Life as you know it is changing. Mark my words, a year or two down the road, somebody in the government is going to say, hey, remember 2 years ago when we did the government shutdown? Remember when all of that happened?